All right, we're live.
I saw 22 the other day with a heart in the middle like that. I thought that was the neatest.
Oh, yeah. I see that.
Yes, but
So that's got too much time.
Yeah.
Welcome and thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com. You're helping people around the world communicate for free. Please enter your.
How you doing?
If you are the host, press star and please enter your PIN. Thank you. You are the only participant in the conference. The recording has started.
It's despair. Ho, ho, ho. Yeah. Fresh off the press. Crystal Light Packet. Yeah, all right. It's delicious. Is that me? I'm turning the right one off too.
yeah, it'll take a few minutes to sit down.
Is it already? Is that the,
I think that was yours. Like that, or no, Steve?
Full charge.
Right.
Got a weird yellow light on there. I've never seen before though.
All right, I got 6:31. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Roll call. Steve.
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Megan.
Yep.
Doug.
Yes.
Ken.
Yeah.
Approval of agenda. In front of you, you do have the agenda. One recommendation that was made was to put Wes up first on the departmental reports. Are there any additions, subtractions, or changes that need to be made?
Do we have anyone here for any specific item?
You're probably here for EMS.
Yep.
How about you guys?
No. I move we put 5G in the first one, 5.
Motion to put 5G as the first item under 5. Second by Ken. Discussion. Hearing none. Steve.
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Doug.
Yes.
Ken.
Yeah.
Item 4 is citizens forum. At this time, we will take any citizens who want to voice their opinions or have questions for the council. Yeah.
I just wondering when it's going to start cleaning up the junk cars and stuff in town.
Perfect. I know the council has gone out and taken pictures of those. It'll probably be an item under the council mayor report if there's any additions that need to be made to that. But we are aware that there are a lot of junk.
There's a lot of junk cars in several places in town. They need to be cleaned up. It's bringing down my property value and everybody else's property value.
Yep, and we understand that, and we're working on a plan to get that fixed.
For the record, can you say your name and address so she can get it?
So it's on tape.
So it's on tape.
And my name's Mike Gustafson, and address is 209 Short Street, Maxwell.
Thank you.
Any other citizen forum? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item 5G engineer report. Wes, you're up.
Sure. In brief, engineering that's going on in general, wastewater treatment plant is pretty much all there, 99.9%. There's still a punch list items. We do have on the agenda tonight discussion action on a change order to close out that project. Basically, when we put together the plans and specs, we estimate some items and quantities, things we might use. We ended up not needing them for this project, and it's a pretty substantial deduct for the project, which is good. So that's coming up later for that. But anyway, that project is done. It's running. It's operating well. So as soon as they get the punch list items done, we'll be able to fully close out that work. The Rock Creek Ridge ATI group has been in contact with us to possibly continue or to start the sewer capacity to connect to North Street and go around. I know that was been an issue on whether they connect to North Street versus going south where they're originally supposed to go. So they have asked us what the schedule might be to proceed. We gave them a scope a while back about doing that study for them. They asked what the schedule would be. We have not got a notice to proceed on that, but they are still looking to try and connect to North Street rather than going to the south. So to give you an update on that, like I said, they haven't told us to go yet, but they're asking about schedule to get that done.
I think one thing they are waiting on is to set up a meeting with Amy and myself, because one of the things that they want to make sure, because my understanding it's a pretty significant monetary thing
Okay.
for them to do this.
Yeah.
And so they want to make sure that we're still good on our end, because if we're not, then obviously we're not going to want to
Right.
spend money
Yeah.
to do that. So
Yeah,
that's what
exactly.
they're waiting on. It's been kind of hectic these last 2 weeks to meet with Amy since the holidays, and she's been out of the office and I've been out of the office. So that is a meeting that we're getting to put on the record ASAP. So
Yep.
Can you
And
just refresh my memory? Why do we want it to go to North Street instead of south?
we don't.
We
They-
don't.
They're asking for it.
Yeah.
So the original preliminary plat had it going to the south down Rock Creek Drive and then
Right.
down Woodlawn, that sewer there. For whatever reason, their preliminary concept had it connecting to North Street, which goes around through the town.
they're saying on that it's an elevation issue, which I'm not 100% sure
Okay.
is accurate. So
Yeah, I don't know how it, anyway.
Well,
Yeah,
wouldn't it be more costly to go North Street and around? Or is it closer for them?
It's closer for them, I
Worse
think.
for
They
the
don't
city.
have to extend down the no house leg in front of the water tower.
Water tower,
It's
yeah.
just right there. I don't think it's preferable. We gave them a scope because they asked us to give them a scope, so we did. So we are a neutral party. Our concern and the whole analysis of it is just making sure that the downstream sewer has the capacity, both for what's there today and any kind of future expansion to the north with the Travis or Davis. I get those confused. Travis properties to the north, that kind of thing, because the alternative route goes clear over to Main Street down to Short and Broad and clear up and around. So, but give you a heads up that, and it sounds like that might be what they're waiting on,
Yep.
Jameson, that
Yep.
your guys' thing. So we will proceed if they want us to, but our analysis is going to be our analysis on capacity, and we'll present it in a factual way to everybody, and you guys can make the call. But if it's something that the city just says, no, we'll go the other way, that's fine too.
There's more than just physical capacity. There's also risk, because if you take all the effluent from the 20-some houses and send it down North and Main, then any obstruction, like we had on Baldwin just this last weekend, is going to cause backups, and it's going to be it's going to compound that issue and create and possibly put more effluent into people's basements. So it's capacity certainly is an issue, and for me, risk is an equal issue.
that's a good thing that you bring that up, because they are, I want them to come to one of our council meetings so we can try to hash everything out to make sure that, one, we as a council are comfortable doing it. Two, they understand what our expectations are if we move forward. So I'll make sure that I also get them scheduled to come to one of our council meetings in the near future.
Can I just get a short story of what the other route is?
The other route goes to it's the original route, connects to the sewer that's on Rock Creek Drive. Rock Creek Drive sewer goes over to the Woodlawn sewer. Woodlawn goes down to First, and then First ties into the pump station right there at the creek.
Mhm.
So.
Okay.
Much more direct route.
About half the distance.
Well,
Yeah, half
it's
the distance, and a lot less.
not only that, but I mean, there's a lot more open ground through there, right?
Yeah, there's a lot less
So as a plumber,
service area.
as a plumber, I mean, you can go with a pretty good size excavator, even if it is a little bit longer. If there's like less things like that, I mean, it would only make sense to go the other way. I don't know how it wouldn't cost, you know. You get two to three guys in machinery and one in the ditch. It's got to be cheaper, you know, to go the most direct route and openness.
For all future maintenance you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, all of it. I mean, install, maintenance, all of it would be.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know where their numbers are entirely coming from. I know that they did a land survey a while back. Like I said, they're saying that there's elevation issues. I don't know if I 100% agree with that. I haven't seen that, or council also hasn't seen that, that survey come back yet, so.
Which is interesting, because it would have to be different. The preliminary plat had elevations on all those sewers.
Mhm.
So there would have to be a difference between how that sewer got built back when the first plat one was done, the original Rock Creek Drive, and what is there today.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that survey, so I'm just assuming it was built at least close to plan, but.
Don't we have the inward elevations for all the manholes?
I don't know if there was an as-built done on that one or not. It might just be plan elevation.
Well, this would have been after it was built when we were doing the slip lining. I thought
We didn't survey elevations with the slip lining. We got approximate depths for just the liner design, which is to the nearest foot. So, yeah, we don't have a survey accurate date on that. So that's that one. I didn't have my printout on me for my letter. I'm trying to go off memory. Yeah,
Baldwin Street.
Oh yeah, Baldwin Street. We are 99.9% done on that one. We are just now waiting. We talked last time the IEDA CDBG grant option to maybe get some funding to do some water main. They were not accepting applications at the January 1st submittal. So we are waiting to hear if they will accept applications at the April 1st submittal. They're supposed to tell us that in a couple weeks. So we're monitoring that. That affects if we do or do not add some water main replacement to that project. I think probably by the next meeting we'll know for sure whether that's how that affects the project. Whether you guys want to go ahead with it without doing any kind of water main work, if it means delaying the project, or if you want to incorporate some of that water main work in. We can talk about that at next meeting, but we'll have some more answers from them. They've gotten so many applications for CDBG funding that they're just swamped. And they said we can't review anymore, so they shut off the program. I basically said you're not going to get funded if you submit, so don't submit.
Sounds like the solar.
Yeah.
Source subject.
So that one I think next month we'll have a lot more information on that one. And then the Woodlawn stormwater study we talked about last time a little bit. We do not have a scope for you yet on that one, but we're in development of that. We're looking at a couple different options and maybe even keep my fingers crossed. There might be some funding things out there if we do some green infrastructure. Our stormwater people are looking at that to see if that's an option that we want to propose to you to look at, because that might help offset some of the costs for doing some improvements there. But I expect we'll have something for you before the next meeting and talk about it then. But so that's all I had on my list. Is there anything else for me?
The bike trail bridge there where the erosion.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on that?
No, and I need to get my guy out to look at that and how delays happened and everything else. And so I will make sure that we can take a look at that.
We did ask for a scope of work on it.
Oh, you did, didn't you?
Yes.
Oh, my bad. Yep.
That means we get it for free, right?
Yeah.
No
Yep.
charge.
No charge.
Okay.
30 minutes after 30 minutes and it's free. No.
One question I
Yep.
do have, I know you have to leave but we're gonna be discussing, the sewer line maintenance program. Do you know on average what the cost of that would be per year?
Depends on what you, and if you need me to stick around, I can. I just, with new baby at home, wife asked if I could be short, but
Yeah, for sure. So what it looks like, Tony is wanting, we would clean and televise a certain amount of sewer lines every year.
it's not a bad idea to do that anyway. Now, in 2012, we lined a good chunk of the city. I was just talking with Deb earlier about the one particular location where it was a lined section. The roots that we're getting in that one are coming through the service lateral. So not through, we cut off all the joint roots, but now they're coming through the service lateral because anytime you have a lining, you have to open up at the service. The televising and televising inspection isn't a bad idea to do. It's less critical when you've got a nice new lining because there's going to be a lot fewer problems. But if we're having roots at the service laterals, it may not be a bad idea to even include those. I don't know, you need to do it every year. You could do a certain section of town every so many years, every 3 to 5 years or something like that would be what I would recommend. Or as you go, which areas do you have the most issues, right? Where the biggest old trees are that have the roots that are getting down in there. There are potentially some solutions to help at those service laterals. There is some lining applications that can go in. Like, one proprietary product is called a T-hat, top hat or something like that, where they can put a kind of a cap hat. It's called a top X. It has kind of a flat part that goes on the inside of the sewer and then has a piece that sticks up in the lateral. And they can go up a certain distance, and that kind of seals off some of that gap at the service lateral. Depending on how they made that service lateral. You said you were a plumber.
Mhm.
Some of the old guys, they just broke in. Some had a nice tap, but so the break-in ones are the problem because now you have a gap where there's soil just exposed and the roots can come right in. These top hats supposedly can help limit that.
So is it like a saddle?
It's like a saddle, but inside. So they go in with similar to the lining crawler that they use to line it, but then they shoot up the lateral side this way. I think there's pros and cons to it. Roots it's amazing what a root will do to get through to where it wants to go. But it might be something on some of our problem ones. We looked at it a little bit when we first did the lining project. The problem is the service laterals owned by the property owner. The main is owned by the city. So when it comes into whose we do and whose we don't do and preference versus non-preference, it got kind of messy. And so the council at that time opted, we're just going to do the mains and do the mains.
But it got expensive.
It got expensive. And there's ways to do it with kind of like we did with the sidewalk program, where if you want to do it, the city will maybe offset some of the cost or cost share or whatever, or get a reduced rate for the property owner, everybody that wants to get in on it. Do it now so we can have some economy of savings and have a contractor in to do them all at once and save some stuff. The problem is nobody knows that they need it until they need it. So getting people to buy in on that program is tough. But if there's a problem service connection that has roots a lot, whether that's in the city's interest to just do that one, because the problem is it can become the city's interest when those roots come in that service lateral and then extend into the main and are now plugging the main. Right? If it's just plugging the service lateral, it's the property owner's problem, so to speak. But when those roots kind of grow into the main, then they can start clogging the main, and then it becomes everybody's problem. So there is some interest to the city side to help prevent some of those root intrusions at the service laterals.
We want to be very careful to be consistent on what we do.
And that was the problem that we ran into last time, was trying to be consistent and fair to everybody involved and that kind of thing. So
Who owns the tap then? I mean, obviously they own the pipe coming to the main. There's obviously, there's an opening there. Who owns that opening to the main typically?
I don't know that it's spelled out that specifically. I think it's always been the service lateral is the property owners, the main is the city's. So
there's an intersection there,
right? Yeah,
where it happens, and like you say, if you're not being consistent and it's not defined, then you could run into some problems if you don't predetermine that.
Yes.
But I don't know that it's defined right now. So, but on your maintenance program, keep that in mind that there might be some things that if you're having consistent issues in an area or something, there might be some other things that you can look at doing besides just going in and cutting out roots every time, because you'll just cut out roots and cut out roots and cut out roots. And you'll just end up having to do it, which is part of the cost of operating, maybe. But yeah. So, yeah, if you need me more on that, I'm certainly glad to stick around, but
Anybody have anything else for Wes?
Your recommendation is to approve the change order.
yeah, unless there's anything in those items that you would like to see added to the project that we haven't already.
We need more change orders with negative numbers.
Well, that's unless you want more rock. I think one of the big items was rock. Deduct, because we didn't use as much rock as we had originally planned for. So, if you want more rock out there, we can certainly have them put more rock down. But
What's your recommendation?
my recommendation is that we've had Tony review this, and Tony being the operator of the plant, he's comfortable with what things are and how they have it. And so I'll defer to Tony. If he's happy with it, we're happy with it. We don't see any reason to not accept it at this point.
Very good. Thank you.
Anything else for Wes? Hearing none, Wes, you can go.
All
Been
right.
released.
Sweet.
Yeah.
My wife appreciates that.
Tag off.
If something does come up though, text me, tell me I can hop on and
Perfect.
jump back in too.
Perfect. Thanks, Wes.
Thank you guys.
Officer Luke, you're up.
I do not have anything crazy other than I believe you talked about speed trailer on 5th. Last time I was here, asked our speed trailer guy, he does not have the data from that far back. So in the future, he will make sure to log it, since for some reason there's some disconnect between our front office ladies and sending these out to all the other towns, the data from the speed trailer. So I'm working with that as well, try to figure out why that's not getting done. Because I was told it was getting done. It's not. That's all I have really. Obviously, on the end of the year, so we have the monthly town hours. You guys had 914, which is the second most out of the 10 contract towns. Then you guys had the total patrol time was at 5th out of 10, and then calls for service was back to 2nd. So I like to see those numbers. I like to see the patrol time come a little closer to the monthly town hours, the place that's in. So I'll send an email out and try to get more town patrol time. Maxwell is pretty consistent though with some of the towns that are related in size. Slater's right around there. Even Kelly's kind of close to that. So nothing too egregious, but it's the end of the year, so it's nice to see those. That's all I have. If you guys have anything,
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Actually, we talked about it last time I was here, about your radars and stuff like that.
yes.
How do we go about getting the radar gun instead of doing the fixed radar in the car?
You're talking
because
about, okay, so
I'm talking about being able to have a car perpendicular to Main Street
Mhm.
when everybody's driving up and down Main Street at 50 miles an hour.
So I think I talked to that. You might not have been here when I addressed this.
I
came
probably
in
wasn't.
way late.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I did a LiDAR project. Probably did 2 months ago now. Which LiDAR is just a laser. So I hid my car totally, and I stood between two buildings out here on Main Street, just north of here or south of here, and I did that for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and I got 2 people going over 30. I think 37 was the highest. So I'm not saying I don't believe you. I've seen cars fly down here.
If you get 2 blocks north of here,
Yep.
especially at my house, and I can tell you every day that I'm screaming at people
Yeah.
that it's like as soon as they get just south of my house, you can hear the diesel kick in.
Yep.
And that's when
I've seen it, and I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. Those trucks do that.
yeah, they don't. Luckily, they don't do it too much down through here.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get to 3rd Street, it's balls to the wall.
And I shot both directions with that LiDAR when I sat there. So I did get both directions, people coming
Oh,
into town and coming out of town, and even from all the way from 5th
Sure.
up there. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying in that 2.5 hours, we didn't catch anybody going. And that was from like 4 p.m. to 6:30. So right around the rush hour time. I'd like to do it in the morning as well. I've heard it's an issue in the morning as well. So
And I think around that 3:30 time.
School, yeah,
with school getting out,
yep,
I think that'll be
absolutely. No, I'm definitely not gonna not do radar anymore.
Yeah.
Just telling you what I found in those,
Sure.
in those 2.5 hours. So we'll definitely keep it on our,
And
on our list.
Also, the end of Main Street, the stop signs, people run them all the time.
Down here, you're talking about
Yeah.
on Fifth? Yeah.
You know, four-way stop.
Yep, I sit there, I sit there a lot and try to catch people doing that, so.
I
I've seen
see it
that.
every day.
Yep.
Anything else for Officer Luke?
How proactive are you if you see a car illegally parked or a truck illegally parked, semi? Do you do things with that, or do you just drive on by?
And to be 100%, it depends. So if the vehicle's parked in the travel portion of the roadway, any roadway in Maxwell, I'll stop out and I'll try to find the owner, try to figure out who it belongs to. If I can't find anybody and it's blocking the roadway, then I'm going to tow it right away. Where it gets a little dicey is when things like snow routes and things like that. That's been a huge debate in the last couple of years with our county and city, like city attorneys and things like that. So do you guys have a city attorney?
Yeah.
You guys, okay. So that makes it a little easier. There was a form or a process that like 2 years ago that was kind of passed out. And I'm not sure it's been used much, to be honest with you. It was really difficult before we had no way to cite. We had no way to cite that, whether it was cited through the state or whether there's a city ordinance violation. With you guys having a city attorney, that should make that a little easier. And I can dig into that more and get some more information. But short answer is no, we don't do much with that. Unless you guys call us, then we do the same thing I just told you. We try to find the owner, try to find the who it belongs to. If we can't, then we'll let you guys know, or I have in the past, but I haven't. I don't think I've ever issued somebody a citation for a city ordinance violation or city code violation.
But you could.
I believe we can now. I'd have to look at the sheet. Some cities are different. Some cities don't even have a city attorney that wants to do anything with that. So we'd have to go off state code. And if you're parked, in your front yard, that's not going to be a violation of state code, but you guys might have an ordinance against that. So it gets a little dicey. I can do some more digging on that for you.
Okay.
I have in the past for Slater. Slater had the same issue. They wanted a lot of citations for parking and things like that. It just gets really dicey when it comes to us doing that because we are the county and we charge under the state code. But there is city ordinance violations that we can do and have done in the past. So I can definitely dig some more into that. What kind of violations are you seeing? Are you talking about snow stuff? Or?
Snow's part of it.
Okay.
Trucks parking where they shouldn't be, semis.
Okay.
Those type of things.
Where would that be? I looked at your
And
guys'
Deb has the addresses, I think, on several of them.
Any semi parked any place other than 210, or parked so that they can deliver to the grocery store, Casey's, would be in a would be not on a truck route, and would therefore be parked illegally.
Are we talking like semi drivers that drive their stuff home, or are you talking about
Yep.
like somebody stopping to grab a sandwich at
No,
Casey's?
no, that's
Oh,
a
okay.
whole different scenario.
Oh, okay.
Parking it overnight or for days.
And this
Certainly
is-
legal to drive a semi on any street in Maxwell to deliver. So that's okay. You drive it, you deliver, and then you leave.
Yeah, I understand what you're getting at. I didn't know what the scenarios were.
It's like the tractor trailer, the whole thing, or just the
Yeah.
cab. Okay.
And there's a tonnage requirement, 2 ton or no,
5, wasn't it?
5 ton.
There's a maximum.
Or minimum, whichever way you look at it.
Okay.
You said 210, I think you meant truck routes would include Baldwin, right?
Yeah.
From Fifth to Baldwin.
And Short Street, is that considered with the locker right there
For delivery only.
for delivery?
I'll be honest. We're probably going to do what I just said. Usually, to start out with, we try to just find the owner. Usually, it's as simple as, "Hey, move your car. It's snowing," or something like that. Now, however aggressive you guys want to be, that's kind of some city councils say, you don't need to cite everybody, and that's probably how you guys would have the same mindset of that. Some are like, yeah, issue a citation right off the bat and don't even worry about trying to find the owner. So we have to anyways, obviously, if we do citation, but I oftentimes just try to knock on a door, say, "Hey, move your car," and that usually solves the problem. But that can always be revisited.
Anything else for the sheriff's department? Hearing none. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Stay safe.
Have a good rest of your night.
Fire reports. They had 5 calls with 28 people, no injuries or accidents. The generator is up and working. No special events, no future plans, and the city doesn't need anything, or the fire department doesn't need anything from the city.
Thank you.
Anything for Tony on the fire side? Moving on to EMS report. They had 5 page outs with 1 responded to, 1 person for EMS per call, no fire assist, Cambridge to Maxwell 4 times, EMS monthly meeting and training attendance. Yes, they had those. Monthly truck check was complete. CQI was complete. Vehicle maintenance needing done. Anything from the council? Yes, there is. You should have received a resignation notice. I don't think I have that one. For Tanya. And it looks like the department has elected Scott as the replacement. Scott's right here in case nobody knows who he is. So the one thing that we need to do is to approve that recommendation,
Which is on the agenda.
which is on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh,
see.
perfect. I will shut my mouth. Anything for Tanya / Scott under EMS? Perfect. Perfect.
I have a question for you.
Yep.
Have we went any further with getting a hold of the board of supervisors to figure out taxation for EMS being a, again, I'm thinking of a word right now. but
Essential service.
Essential service, yes.
I reached out, when was that? 2 months ago? That was brought up. That night I reached out. I did not hear anything back, but I will follow up with that. So, make note of that.
So I don't know if this is the same or not, but I reached out to a buddy of mine when I was on Pleasantville before I moved to Maxwell. I have a coworker actually in Des Moines that is the chief of Pleasantville, and he said that we have a couple different options on how we tax, whether we tax homeowners or you can do like a 1 cent sales tax. And I don't know if that's countywide, citywide. I don't know exactly how that goes. I know like Marion County is electing to do the 1 cent sales tax because they have, the raceway and, all that other stuff coming down there. They can, try and recoup that through the weeks of the fair and nationals and all that other stuff that come down there. So just something to food for thought to keep in mind if somebody says something about it.
I will reach out to them again and we'll see if I get a response for you. All
It's
right.
obviously going to be a good thing for everybody if,
Yeah.
that can happen.
And to be perfectly honest, I think I said this last time. The majority of mayors in Story County are voicing the same.
Oh, I'm
thing.
sure.
And the board of directors is essentially dropping the ball on all that. So we'll make sure that we stay diligent and keep them up to date. Library report. Looks like the remodeling updates was addressed in our last meeting, so we don't need to do anything on there. They are starting to book their summer reading program performers. We hope the fire station will be able to participate this year also. They'd like to know if they can put a free little library down in the park or by the Heart of Iowa Nature Trail at the west side of town that the library director will monitor.
Do we need a third one? I mean, there's already 2 in town.
My problem is what happens if you put it down at the park and it gets flooded?
Or just where it is, it's pretty well hidden. What if it just gets destroyed and they're constantly rebuilding it?
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of trouble down at that part of the park anyway. I'm not trying to say no. I'm not saying I'm saying no. That would be a concern.
Do we have jurisdiction over that? Can the library board make that decision? Or they would have to also go to the parks board for that as well? And then from there, we could take the recommendation of the
have-
parks board.
Authorization to, spend the money to do it. You'll
Mhm.
have to get permission from the council to locate it, someplace other than at the library.
How many do you have in town? Just the one that's down?
We have the one by Miners and then there's one at Rock Creek. Mhm.
There's also one, isn't it up by you, Sharps?
Oh, Amanda and Trevor?
Yeah. And they were going to put one up by Logston.
Okay.
So I don't know,
believe there's
or
one
out
up by
at the
Amanda
trailer
and
court.
Trevor.
That's 3, and they're wanting to put a 4th.
Okay, then that would be a 5th because they want to also put one by Logston, they said. They already have one. Okay.
Where would they put
Some,
it by
some
law?
of these are not library, they're private,
Private.
Gotcha.
right?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, maybe so.
I think Rock Creek is just done by the people there.
And
I don't know.
the one at
Okay.
Sharps,
Sharps is just personal, or
No,
Okay.
Sharps is a library.
it's the
Yeah,
library one.
Library.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Miners is. So,
the one at Sharps on private property,
Yes.
mhm.
which, yeah, if it's being put on private property, that'd just be the library board.
Mhm.
All right. Moving on, Public Works. Streets, nothing new, just moving snow. Parks, all stumps have been ground. Water, 1.3 million gallons sold, 1.1 million gallons had DNR do a sanitary inspection. Sewer, about 2 million gallons. We need to look at doing sewer line maintenance inspections. And I've been trying to upload this video. Or do we want to go over? We'll go over that on
In the
68.
agenda,
Anything for Tony on Public Works?
yeah.
All right, city clerk. We should be receiving the last of our new computers this month. There was a POB meeting as well. Need direction on the newsletter. Do we want to continue it? Is there something that the council would like to see? Do we want to change one at the end of January or the end of March? How often do we want to do one? Thoughts on the council? My one thing that I was going to put in there for January was just to introduce you and let people know that you are on the city council now. And I didn't really have anything else to put on there. So, thoughts?
They elected a new chair.
Yes, elected a new chair for Parks and Open Spaces Board. I stepped down last week.
That's for Parks and Open Spaces? We're on city clerk stuff.
No, she means for the newsletter,
For the newsletter.
If you
Gotcha.
wanted to.
if you did want to do another one. Okay, well, since nobody else is speaking up, I will go ahead. I feel like I'm the only one that ever says anything. Again, not saying that I would vote it down, but I feel like the newsletter could be done online. I feel like we
I agree.
don't necessarily need it to be mailed out.
We tried that
Unless
one.
requested by those that don't have email.
Sure, then we could print one off.
And I don't think it would hurt to have a reminder, hey, your garbage can shouldn't sit out the curb all week, especially with snow. Remind people so we don't have to have our Deputy Luke do a whole bunch of stuff about abiding by the regulations, cleaning things up. Just a general reminder occasionally.
The website town that would be on.
Well, and I'm thinking, can't you link it also to like the library's website? And I mean, couldn't it go to some of the business websites as well? So, I mean, it would get generated a lot more.
Let me see if I have.
sure the bank website could probably post it on their Facebook. Same.
That's smart me.
We did put the containers in the last newsletter.
Okay. Well, who didn't read it?
So I see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so who
I
didn't
see
read
the
their
newsletter's
newsletter?
on there. So that's good.
I can't get you guys to read it. Who am I supposed to
I
say?
know, I hear you.
Hey, I read it.
I do remember now that you said that.
Here is our website.
Yeah, see, and there's
Here's a
newsletter right
newsletter
there.
option.
Beautiful.
I don't know if the link works though. Oh,
Oh, it's doing something there.
there's
Probably
an,
get
there's an
somebody to
April
read it.
newsletter somewhere. And then it's just a link they can click on and the PDF pops up.
Yeah.
Does Nancy do our website?
April.
I believe so. Nancy still does her website, doesn't she, Deb?
Yes.
Uh,
About the departments. Elected officials.
Parks and open space isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's up there. Warren, you're already on there. You've been on there the last 4 years. Except for you. Just kidding.
We didn't spell it right there, did we?
No,
No,
no.
it happens so much that I just.
Give her a Y.
Yeah.
I got my debit card.
Yes.
Yeah. My name, so.
You do spell.
So what else did you want? Oh, there's links here. Oh, city code ordinances. We probably should put that under its own tab. And then you wanted to add a business link.
Mhm. And then I'm sure if we talk to the library, they have their own website. They could put a link to like the ordinances, the newsletter, things like that there too. I know they used to be able to anyway.
Oh, right there.
Contact, or as we live then, they should be linking up.
Yeah, there's
Absolutely.
a URL for their website.
Yep.
Well, the welcome wagon would be good to have your business listed. It's in that too.
I think they do.
Is it on there? Okay.
I think so.
Cool.
Yep.
Right, we'll get that added.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing is online newsletter.
Mhm.
And for those that want it, to let City Hall know so we can print those off and send to them.
I'd do it the other way around. You send them out and in your newsletter, we say, if you want to view it online and not get this in the mail, then let City Hall know.
But how would you know if nobody's reading this,
Nobody's reading the newsletter.
reading it anyway? Well, we keep sending it out until they do. I mean, if you take it away completely and say, well, if you'd like to get the newsletter, contact City Hall.
What if we announced it in the January
Put it in the
newsletter
January letter.
and
so-
say
We'll be switching
that we will
online
be
unless
switching to online? If you prefer yours mailed out, please let City Hall know.
I think there's a Facebook page too in there. You can probably put it in that, because I know like Mel, she doesn't read any of this stuff. She'll look at Facebook and see
Right.
things that are on Facebook and not.
Anything else? Parks and open spaces. Deb Steele would like to join Parks and Open Spaces Board. They are losing one member to the council. I wonder who that is.
Troublemaker.
You're still gonna stay on there. You're just not gonna be chair.
Yes, yes, I still attend, just not,
And you can't vote.
no voting.
And so I believe if this works like every other department we have to approve that election.
It's on the agenda.
Nope. See, Deb, you're already 10 steps ahead of me.
She is.
And I'm not
I
sure
try.
the council approves, the chair,
Members,
they have to approve members.
right? I don't think they do. I think you only, if she was an official, if she was some kind of president, vice president, we would have to. But just to have a member,
You don't have to.
no, anybody can join.
Are you sure?
No, it's
I
the
think
other,
you guys
it's the other way
approved
around.
Me being in there.
That if somebody is becoming a member, then it takes council action. The board itself decides its organization.
Okay.
So if they want a president, they elect their president, because the president just organizes their meeting.
Okay.
And doesn't have any additional authority granted to them by the council.
Members are appointed by the mayor, subject to approval to the council.
So membership.
So that is a agenda item 6B.
Do we have a report from the Parks and Open Space?
I have handwritten notes.
Oh, okay.
What are
She's
they?
gonna give us
Probably.
the report.
Yeah, probably something that we should probably look into sending prior to, I guess. Stepped down as chair. Jody Gast was appointed as chair. Last meeting we discussed a big ticket item was tree hugger. Service has agreed to, and I confirmed this today, agreed to remove all the ash trees in the park. That would include the removal and the stump grinding. They would like to use that opportunity as training and certification for their OSHA certification, something that they have to do continuously. I'm not sure if it's 1 year or 3 years, but confirmed that today. No charge. They would just want to do it. Denny was going to run down and count how many there were. I think if I counted, there might be 6 to 10. I can't remember off the top of my head. Again, it includes removal and stump grinding. And they will start as soon as the approvals are completed. So my question is approvals needed from Parks and Open Spaces, City Council. I did not confirm that at the last meeting. Who approves them to remove the
I think
trees?
it has to go through both chambers.
Yeah.
And was he replacing those trees?
That was one thing I did not talk to him about. One thing that would be important to the Parks Board is replacing those trees, yes. I don't have that in front of me. Did Parks approve that? Or did we make a motion to send it to City Council?
You made a recommendation to that council approve the contractor to work in the park. So we talked about it.
Okay.
Having to be approved by council because it's working on public property.
Public property. Do you want to see some sort of, I don't know if there's a contract that needs to be
Or
involved,
an agreement?
an agreement,
Yes.
liability insurance?
Letter of understanding.
Yeah,
And then let us know too, if they do plan to replace those, and how many trees per tree that they tear down. And then once we get that, we can put it on the following agenda.
I'll reach back out.
When they pull those out, what are they replacing with typically?
Parks and Open Spaces Board has a lovely member that is really good at trees, knows her trees. I think we discussed that oak trees, or was it maple trees, are not a good idea.
Neither maple nor oak.
Maple or oak are not good ideas,
And
according to our study.
That's recommendation from DNR because of the number of maple and oak that are down there. We don't want to have a disease that goes through and then like the ashes gets all the trees.
Wipes it all out.
So there'll be a combination of other overstory shade trees.
fast growing? As fast as a tree can grow.
As fast as a tree can grow. I had a comment for, just to bring up the bike trail erosion problem. He didn't have any further discussion on that, so we'll just wait on that. That was my other question. But other than that, that's it.
And then we do have an agenda item as well, another one, which is 6A, for lights for trees, and we'll talk about that.
Yep.
Cool. Anything for the Parks and Open Spaces Board? Cool. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
All right. 6A, discussion and action on lights for trees for South. Welcome to Maxwell sign.
Yes.
So this says Lauren will have the detailed information on the subject, but the Parks and Open Spaces would like to put floodlights on the trees at the Welcome to Maxwell sign.
Yes. This was a lovely idea presented to me by Ken, which I thought it was great, so I just ran with it. There's 3 evergreen trees right behind the Maxwell sign on the south side of town. Spotlights. I originally thought that it would be lights that go around the tree because I had the Christmas tree in my brain at the time. They make so many spotlights that are really cool. You can control them on the app, change the colors to any color you want. Our focus, we would like to keep it to red, white, and blue and have them on at like a specific holiday schedule. Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Police Officer Day, EMS Day, that sort of thing. So keep it special. I'm working with Randy Pritchard. He's kind of like my smart techie guy that I usually go to. He said the higher the wattage, the better. He also agreed that in-ground lines would probably be best. They're not as expensive as I thought they were, about 50 to 60 bucks a piece. And Parks and Open Spaces talked about it, and we made a recommendation to get it to City Council for discussion and approval.
Would they be like a white light throughout the year aside from those?
I think it would just be off, but I'm open to other, light options as well. We discussed if the lights were on all the time, it wouldn't be as special, if we just did red, white, and blue for special holidays.
Trying to pull up a picture here.
I just suggest that, the lights that Randy has down here are pretty good, but
Yeah.
the ones that go up to the flags and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tree's a little bigger, so I would make sure you got a
Right.
good size lamp.
And I'm not sound in lighting, so that's why I recruited Randy to help me.
So something like that, but it'd be red, white, and blue.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
I like the idea of the specialty times, if the school does something, got the state, blue and white or something.
Yep, I like that. And there were quite a few. I sent a schedule of dates via email, and there were quite a few. So it's Flag Day.
Red Ribbon Week.
Yep.
Veterans Day.
Yeah, we've had a couple come through the auction where you just have a little remote.
It's a remote.
But I like the app idea.
The
So
app
you can
is
do it
good.
anytime.
And I'm happy we can schedule them. I'm happy to work with Tony to get a schedule, some sort of schedule to who will turn them on, who will turn them off, that sort of thing. So Randy thought maybe this would be a better spring project, especially to get the lines in the ground.
Mhm.
So we'll probably do spring.
So I think we can go one of 2 routes here for the motion. We can approve the quote unquote scope of work to be done to see how much it's gonna cost, or we can motion up to a certain dollar amount. So if anybody wants to give one of those motions, I will.
I recommend that, I move that we approve color changing floods, controlled by an app, 3 of them, for a, hardware cost not to exceed, $200, and that the wiring be buried, and that the entire project cost be less than $500 and come from the parks budget.
That is a motion made by Steve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ken. Discussion. Hearing none. Lauren,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Ken,
Yeah.
Steve.
Yes.
Yes. Item 6B, discussion and action on appointing new board member for Parks and Open Spaces Board. Once again, Deb Steele would like to join the Parks and Open Spaces Board since they are losing Lauren to the council.
Move approval.
Moved by Doug for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Steve. Discussion. Hearing none. Megan,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Ken,
Yeah.
Steve,
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Discussion and action 6C on appointing EMS chief starting February 1st, 2022. That would be to appoint Scott Johnson as EMS chief per the resignation notice that Tanya gave. Is there a motion?
There's going to be a 1-month overlap.
Yeah.
Transfer of
That's a
knowledge.
question, but it'll be taken care of.
Okay.
Within 3 days, I have to have the council needs to have the number of calls, and the information would be number of calls to Washington, to Indian Creek, to Maxwell, and why don't you hand in one of those packets? It's the form that needs to be filled out.
Is in this packet?
Yeah, it's on like page 3 or 4, page 4. Where it talks about allocation.
That's sewer. Page 4 is about sewer.
Okay, keep going. There we go. What's that one say?
Page 7.
7 of 18, yeah.
Okay. And
What do you need now? Repeat that.
well, if you look at the,
Everywhere it's got a 0.
So we need calls from Washington Township, Indian Creek, and the city. It's that yellow
Okay.
area there. And mutual aid.
So everywhere that's yellow is what you're telling me?
Yeah.
the yellow is generally the where information needs to be added.
Okay.
However, there's also everything else is calculated. So how many calls to Washington Township, Indian Creek, City of Maxwell,
Okay.
and then how many responses Washington, Indian Creek, and City of Maxwell. And the reason we need that is because the calls, the population, the valuation together result in what percentage of the budget is paid for by Washington Township, Indian Creek, and
In the city?
Maxwell.
We would probably also want him to fill out no Maxwell response and Maxwell response unless that is
Well,
calculated.
that's calculated from all the other. If you
Fields.
take the total calls and number of responses and you subtract them.
Okay.
mutual aid calls does need to be filled in though, if there were any.
Okay.
Some years there aren't.
It's probably not gonna change the taxation or the budget part of it, but
It doesn't change the budget, but it changes
How we pay it out.
who pays for what.
sure.
And need that, by close of business on Wednesday. Because
Do everything I
apparently
can.
there's going to be meeting this Saturday
That's what we wrote last 9 o'clock.
with the township trustees.
So you're telling me I gotta have it done in 2 days, not 3 days?
Um,
Scott,
Did we say
The 8th at 9 o'clock is what
yes,
PM?
what you guys said.
AM.
Scott,
Behind you.
you might want to talk to Tanya, because I already talked to her about those
Yeah.
numbers.
I know, but that's my concern. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
If that's it, I'll take a motion to approve Scott, appointing him EMS chief.
Starting February 1st, so moved.
Moved by Steve,
Second.
second by Doug.
Have we also accepted the resignation? Did we do that before or not?
I
You,
suppose we should accept
Yeah, we haven't done
resignation
that.
before we
Did we? Yeah.
make him chief.
There.
He's made chief February 1st, so I suppose.
Oh, that's true. Yep, you're right.
Move we accept the resignation from Tanya.
and then who seconded that? Are you gonna keep your second?
That's good.
Okay. Discussion? Hearing none, I think I left off. Doug,
Yes.
Ken,
Yeah.
Steve,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Discussion and action on Betterment Award. In the packet, you will see what we have typically done for the Betterment Award. Is this something that we would like to do again this year? If so, are there any changes or how do you want to market it?
On your January newsletter.
There you go. I'm gonna
Which is
quite
on-
the new.
It's gone from nothing to a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I think we need to continue it. Good, positive activity. I make a motion, we continue.
Motion by Doug,
Second.
second by Megan. Discussion. Hearing none. Ken? Yep. Steve?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Okay, I think I missed something.
Yeah.
What's up?
The EMS chief, did we vote to have Scott on, or? I
Yes.
know we
We
voted
did it
to,
in one, I think. It was kind of all in one
combined them.
we
motion.
combined them all?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I missed.
No, you're fine.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Tanya just said that she'll have those numbers to you by the 8th. Whatever they were talking about with the townships and the stuff.
Don't you need
She just sent
We
me,
need it before the 8th though.
you just told me you needed it on the 9 o'clock on the 9th, right? No, the
That's
9th.
what we need to
No,
get.
we need Wednesday.
Good enough.
Paperwork.
Okay, next item, 6E,
The
discussion.
reason that we need it beforehand is because a copy needs to go out to the township trustees, so they'll be ready for the meeting.
So when do you need it then?
End of
Wednesday.
business
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Close the business.
Okay. 6E, discussion action on sewer line maintenance program.
Move approval of change order 5.
We're skipping.
Are you
Okay.
skipping that? 6,
That's it.
Oh,
That's
wait,
F.
That's it.
You gotta
Did-
go to E.
sorry about that.
sewer line maintenance program. I have a video. Don't know, I don't think it'll work to be thrown up. But it's quite a long one. I don't know if you guys can see this or not.
Do you want, I have 3 pictures.
Oh, yeah, throw those.
These are all the same
Area.
pole.
Okay.
That's just one out of 5, I think they looked at. And this is after we jetted the lines.
And this is from December 29th.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's going from 7th Street to North Street. And those are what we found. I think we found
It's a boy.
3 or 4. And then we found more going south that I've sent letters to saying that they're plugged.
Want copies of those? Take home.
Wow.
My recommendation as mayor, take it or leave it, would be to have Tony get us numbers of how much it would cost to be put on a maintenance program, how much it would cost yearly on average, so we could approve a number. Otherwise, without having a number, I don't know where things go. Obviously, there's some big issues. Still got the video up that I'm looking at. There's obviously some big issues that need to be taken care of.
Well, the decision also needs to be made whether it's homeowners' liability or cities, as far as the cost factors go on these things.
And those are protruding into the actual main.
If the origin is from the homeowner, then that's a little different perspective too.
Not all of it was from the homeowners.
Not all work.
If you looked in the manholes, the one manhole that they're in, there was a huge, he called it a rug of roots in the manhole itself.
Well, then that'd be ours, no question on that.
I think the mayor's correct that between the mayor and Tony, they need to sit down and figure out whether we're going to try to do 20% each year and rotate through so that every 5 years something gets TV'd, or is it better to do it on a 4-year rotation? And to a large extent, we need to involve the engineer in this. What is their recommendation for a cycle? And we may just need to figure out, we may not have a good idea, hard and fast, of how often to do it until we actually get started on it and see through a couple cycles whether or not we can extend the time or need to contract it.
But what do other cities do too? Can we find out from other?
So I don't know if you guys can see this or not. I don't think this is on one of the pictures shown. That is a T
5 seconds.
intersection. It is just clouded. So this is the main.
Didn't we do a big batch a few years back?
Well, this is that main. I think that's line.
We did the slip line.
Yeah. So here's that
Rug.
completely
Wow.
packed.
Good nutrients for the tree.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were rich.
So I'll actually text Tony right now, see if he can get us some numbers.
There's a couple of issues. One of them is how often are we going to TV it to see what the problems are and where the problems are. The other issue is whose responsibility is it? Well, the city's responsibility is the main, and the homeowner's responsibility is the service line. Yes, if there's a leak or if roots are getting in between the joint of the service line and the main, then whose responsibility is it? And right now, it would be the homeowner's responsibility if we want to say we will share half the cost of putting one of those top hat things in, or a percentage of that cost. As I remember, they were fairly expensive, but like Wes said, for sidewalks are expensive too. And we used to have a program that was where the city paid a portion of the sidewalk and homeowners paid a portion. So we need to make both those decisions at some point, and a recommendation from the mayor and the sewer committee back to the council in February would probably be what we need.
Because I think once we find out the cost, how much it would cost to do all this, I think then you can really decide where our money sits and how often we can do it, and we can go from there. And I think we can't make that decision until we know how much it would cost. So, is there a motion?
Infrastructure committee is myself and Doug. And so we'll work with the mayor and with Tony, so we can get something back to the council in February.
Sure. If you guys want to set up a meeting, just let me know, and I'll come in and we'll all three sit down with Tony and see if we can come up with something. I did text him to see if he had an idea. Yeah, there's another one coming up.
That's on the other side.
So,
How hard is it to cut into the main after it's been lined? Not hard? Is there anything special about it?
No.
Because it's a sock, right? It's like
Yeah.
a fabric
So,
sock.
so when it comes down to it, I mean, those top hat things might be like a go, no-go deal. Like one situation might work, the next situation won't. You could easily just cut it back, throw in 245s, eliminate one tap right into the main, to get rid of all that. You can pour over it and then just do, a 21st century tap as opposed to hammer and chisel and huge holes and stuff like that. Because typically when you drill through them now, I mean, that hole is less than a quarter of an inch bigger.
Let's take a look at one of those connections.
So there's,
Yeah.
this is a line connection, and then this over here, I don't know if it'll keep going straight or not, but I think you're looking.
That's a service main, or is that a main?
Not 100% sure on that.
What?
That's a service.
Service main.
You can tell by the little
Yeah, the
green,
line.
the little green thing there.
Yeah.
If it's pointing one way or the other, it's a service line. If it's
The circle at the top right corner.
Tony taught me something.
No, I'm just speaking as an installer. I mean, there might be something to think about, one house, that top hat thing might work, others it may not,
So, Steve, is your motion to table this until further information is?
Yes.
Motion by Steve to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Megan. Discussion. Hearing none. That's up to you, right?
Yeah.
Steve.
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Doug. Yep. Ken.
Yeah.
Move approval of change order number 5.
Moved approval by
Second.
Steve. Second by Ken. Discussion. Hearing none. Lauren.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Doug.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
C.
Yes.
Action on resolution setting times and dates for regular council meetings in 2022. So typically in the past, it's been 6:30. Well, for the last 2 years, it's been 6:30 on the first Monday of the month. Anybody have any objections to that?
Nope.
Our only conflict would be July 4th. We're looking at holidays and things that I can see.
Which then it would move to the following.
It'd be the next
Yep.
Monday, because July 4th is a Monday.
Is there a motion to leave things the same?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Doug, second by Megan. Discussion. Hearing none. Lauren,
Yes.
Megan.
Yep.
Doug.
Yes.
Ken.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yes, I see that Doug had already voted yes.
Did I?
No, you didn't.
Well, glad I'm
You did.
consistent.
Good thing.
It's easier to fill things out before.
Just pre-fill one.
Good job, Deb.
6H, action on a resolution setting time and place for public hearing for the purpose of considering the maximum tax dollars from certain levies for the city's proposed fiscal year 22-23 budget. You can see that resolution in front of us.
When does this need to be in the paper?
It's got to be completed on March.
I have to have it in the
I
paper
don't
by
have one either.
January
Do you have
27th.
one?
By what?
Yeah, this one.
January 27th, because it has to be at least 10 days.
It's because it's a February.
January 27th
So I have
is
to
when it's in the paper,
have it to the paper on the 21st.
to the paper on the 23rd,
First.
to the paper on the 21st.
In the paper on the 27th.
And what we're approving is the publication, but we don't have salary and FICA and IPERS or insurance yet. We will have some budget meetings coming up, in which time, so we have until January 21st to refine those numbers.
Yes. The insurance, they said to be up to 9%.
9%.
Yeah, that's what I added into that number. You gotta remember that these numbers, we can always go lower, we cannot go higher.
Right, and that was one of the concerns that I had, that we have to have fairly good estimates on the FICA and IPERS and insurance, which we don't have tonight.
That's okay, I gave us 4%, so you can go.
Perfect.
Over the next 3 years, okay. Good.
Like you said, you can always go down, can't go up.
We can, yeah. So, I mean,
And then the duration to plea to the emergency fund, that I'm assuming is an additional.
the emergency fund is a set amount.
Okay,
Taxing as much as we can on that.
perfect.
I move approval of resolution 2022, subject to adjusting the numbers based upon budget meetings prior to January 21st as needed.
It's a motion made by Steve,
Second.
second by Ken. Discussion. Hearing none. Megan.
Yes.
Doug. Yeah. Ken.
Yeah.
Steve.
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
All right, now it's time for everybody's favorite part. Discussion of budget for fiscal year 22 and 23. You'll see the handout that Steve got us. And on the first page, you see the salary worksheet.
What we need to do is make the policy decisions. And I'm not sure we're ready to do that tonight. Policy decisions of how much time is allocated by the employees to various tasks. In the past, it's been 50% sewer, 50% water for Tony. With the new sewage treatment plant, we were told that Tony will be spending more time there, and which means that there's going to be less time available for water. And so some of that may need to change. And when you get down to the data inputs for salaries, Deb,
Yes.
You'll have to verify that the 2022 hourly rates are correct.
Can I get a copy of that then, please?
And again, I don't think we want to take the time tonight to go through all that. But then, do we want to offer a merit increase? Do we want to offer a cost of living increase? The other possibility is doing a flat increase, $100 a year or whatever. That would then generate a 2023 hourly, and based upon the allocations above, it would show how many dollars coming out of each program. The next page then is the calculation of, once you know the salaries, it calculates the FICA, HIPERS, FICA and HIPERS, which then feeds into our budget.
If I remember correctly, there's not a change in IVERS this year, correct, Deb?
And that's the other thing I'm going to need from Deb is what the percentage is, percentage of salaries that result in FICA and IPERS, and the percentage for FICA and Medicare, and the percentage for IPERS, since they're separate line items.
I think in total, the whole total is like 17.09.
But we
But we need to divide it out.
Yeah, we have them separated, so I need to know how much for one and how much for the other. The next page is the insurance, and you said 109%.
9%.
Well, yeah, 9% increase would be 109% of the previous year.
Okay.
Right now we're at 3 of 18. And once we have that, along with the some of the insurance is paid by the city, some of the insurance is paid by Indian Creek, some of it's by Washington Township. So we need those calls so we can calculate the allocation amounts that go into there. Page 4 gets into debt service. This needs to be checked for the fiscal year 2023 column to make sure that we have all of our debt service identified. Page 6 There's the fire department, cost allocation. Tony gave me the calls today for, so I can put those in, which would complete this page. And as soon as we get the EMS, then we'll be able to complete that page. Once we have those percentages, then it can be applied to everything else. The fire department's worksheet, it starts on page 8 and 9. They should be given their worksheets so that they can fill them out. EMS worksheet is on page 10 and 11. So you can take, it shows what the previous, what the expenditures were and the revenue was in 2020. Remember, all these fiscal years end June 30th. So 2020 would have been 2 years ago. Fiscal year 2021 would have been ending last June 30th. How much we've budgeted this year, how much we've spent so far this year, or how much we've received. And then the column with all the blanks is what we're going to be proposing for next fiscal year. And that's the part that needs to be filled out. And the Ken is the chair of that committee, right?
Yep.
So work with the fire and EMS to get that done and to the council. Page 12, library, they need to be given their sheet so they can fill it out. Page 13 is Parks Department. So they need to be given that sheet so they can fill it out. Or if failing them filling it out, the council does. Same for the library. But we have departments so that they can do their own work. Water department, that'd be Doug and I. Sewer department, Doug and I. And that takes us to page 18 of 18. These are the basic departmental budgets and calculations and policy decisions. There are other parts of the budget that the council just does, such as roads and
No.
a few other miscellaneous areas. But my recommendation is that these be handed out to the various departments and that we ask for everything to be back in a week from Friday. And then we set up a council budget meeting the following Monday.
On the 17th.
Yeah, and at that time, hopefully, we'll have all the information we need to adjust any of the dollar amounts for the advertisement that needs to be in the central paper on the 21st.
Okay.
How does the rest of the council feel?
I feel the exact same way.
Excited, right?
Yep. I love budget time. Love my numbers.
And I can provide these, I have them as a spreadsheet. And so if you are more comfortable using the spreadsheet, I can send you the spreadsheet that has all these pages on it.
I would like this spreadsheet. Yeah.
Each one of the different departments is a separate tab. So I think it's pretty easy to follow. I mean, I can do it, so it must be easy.
You're kind of a genius, though.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on budget for fiscal year 22-23?
So 6:30 on January 17th is
Yep.
what we're gonna do.
Do we want to start that late?
We're gonna start at 6 o'clock.
Doesn't matter to me.
I mean, that's a lot to go through. I don't want to be here until 11.
Hopefully it's all filled out.
Wow.
We
How
do.
many
Library
years
will.
has that ever happened?
Library will.
Let's go at 6.
In some years, we've done the library as the council because they didn't get
They
it to
didn't
us.
send us anything.
6.
6 p.m. on the 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Pizza party.
Well, we can all contribute
Take it out of the
to,
slush one.
have Casey pizzas brought over.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a Monday, isn't it? Mom's won't be open.
Nope.
Has anybody had good luck with the Casey's pizza? I
I
quit eating that about 2 months ago and I was done.
was gonna say, yeah, about
Yeah, we
5
like
years
it.
ago, that
Yeah.
was pretty good.
We didn't say we had to order it from this place.
I can pick up Kippy's on the way home from work.
Kipping's Pizza.
Kippy's pizza is good. Up to you.
Well, we all want to, give Lauren some money so she can
I
stop
won't
by.
be here January 17th. I will be on vacation.
Well, as long as,
Vacation.
as long as you have your work
Yeah,
done
I'm
before
retired.
then.
I
Yeah,
got vacation, yes.
As long as you have your work done before then.
Boss.
I'll do my best.
All right, are we ready to move on?
Yep.
7A, council and mayor report. Steve, what do you got?
I don't have any. We do want to, pick up our, as, Mike said, pick up our, problems with, junk vehicles and other things. And probably, right after, the budget approval, which is the March meeting. Start sending out letters, so that we can start to clean up in the spring. It may be a little difficult for some people to.
Some of our areas probably need to go back through
Yeah.
too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because mine looked really good when we started this.
And
And now my area, so much.
And some of the ones that I took pictures of have already cleaned up. So, yeah,
Any of those that we sent to the county or city attorney?
no,
No.
no. They were, I think works in progress when I saw them. And they got resolved, as a result of just getting work done.
I can't remember, but I have to.
Anything else?
Hey, Mike, you had a
As I
question?
said, Steve.
For me?
sent the email.
Yeah, did you have something?
No, I just,
Oh,
it's right
okay.
there. Put my hand in my pocket.
That's okay. It's funny. Sold.
Steve was having a hard time coming up with Mike's name, but he called Alex Mike for the longest time.
I know.
Aaron, we're just calling you.
Okay. What?
Well,
Oh, we should-
you're up.
Okay.
What do you got?
I actually received community concern over the property located at 515 Fifth Street. And from what I gathered from the concerns is that the property is just not aesthetically pleasing at the moment.
And that's the one that's on stilts right now.
Okay.
But right on the highway. Just, I think from what I gathered from their conversation was it aesthetically, it was not pleasing to the eye right now, especially on the highway.
Do they have a building permit, Deb?
Yes.
Okay.
They're pouring a basement.
And that's the hard part. How are you
It's
gonna-
kind of hard to pour a basement if the house is on the ground still.
In winter, I mean,
Yeah.
how fast can you work right now?
Well, not to mention, I don't think the house was that eye pleasing in the first place. And
Exactly.
So,
Well,
I
hopefully,
did mention that.
hopefully with the work they're doing,
I think it's coming to
putting the
be.
basement in, that they'll be doing more on everything else.
is that it?
Right.
That's your first
I
time.
did not expect them to be, I didn't even expect to have anything, so.
Megan,
Nothing.
Doug,
I've addressed a lot of it with when the deputy was here and things like that. On east of the location we were just talking about, they have yet to finish siding on a house from years ago, and there's siding blown over towards senior housing and siding laying on the street. Some pieces there that, again, just being consistent. If we say, hey, this has got to be done, or you have to get a new permit to person A, we need to be consistent in doing that to person B, C, and D.
what, let me pull that up quick on the weekend. Is that Ashford?
I believe
Did they
so.
move the front door to the north side? That was the property that
It used to be
switched from one
Grammy
way
Gales, right?
or the other.
Yeah.
On the south side of the street there.
Let's see.
They no longer have an active building permit, Deb?
I don't believe so. I think it's expired.
Who goes?
I believe it's Jason Cox, just the one I'm talking
Yes.
about.
So maybe it's Fifth Street now, huh?
Maybe.
I think they went to the north. They used to be on the east.
Used to be on the east side.
Uh-huh.
It's always been Fifth Street.
Yeah,
Has it always been Fifth? Okay.
And now it's changed to Ashland.
No, now it is still Fifth Street. Let me pull it up.
The entrance is no longer on Fifth Street.
But that's probably where the mailbox is.
Right. Because their garage is there, so there's no way they have an entrance on Fifth Street.
If you can read that, there it is.
That's the side of their garage.
And there's siding laying right where the arrow was, and there's siding across the road in the ditch there towards senior housing.
Is that even in the picture too?
Is that from just the last windstorm or what?
Oh, ongoing.
Oh, it just happens?
No, it's been there a week or so
Oh.
recently, but I moved some stuff back off the street when I walk home sometimes,
Okay,
but it's not getting any better
okay.
or continuing.
What about,
I
If
think
they have
they're
trash
central.
going around, then there's no reason why the council can't send them a letter.
Okay.
what else?
The other thing is, several planning and zoning variances have been granted after the fact, and I don't know what we can do about it other than to say no once in a while, because you pour a slab and then it's too big, but we still go ahead and approve it, or there was a communication issue on a building size, and rather than say, no, it's too big, I think the last 4 or 5 things we have. Small towns are good, but I think small towns are taking advantage of some situation to some of our people. But that was a comment I've heard from several people. So that's all I have.
Ken? The only thing I have, we'll go over this in our meeting with Tony, but he did get back to me. He said divide city up into sections and do one section every year. I think last time I looked into this, it was 4 or 5 sections and somewhere between $10,000 and $12,000 a year. He's gonna have to get new estimates and get a price for us. And I told him that we would sit down with him before our next meeting. Because I think it is a much needed thing, that if we get it on the February agenda, we get that approved and get, at least try to work on it. As soon as possible.
Let me back up one other thing. Are we going to get a ATI paperwork from them? Is that in the works?
We have to get that from Amy, that's what I was talking about.
That was the Amy issue,
Yeah.
okay. That was the other thing I had written.
And I have to sit down, since things have changed from the 6 acres to now the 12 acres, they have to go in and recalculate everything.
Okay, that was the other thing,
And
sorry.
look at mine. I think this one.
So
I think this one gets
that
one.
meeting will be set up. I'll reach out to Amy tomorrow, get a meeting on the calendar. And then my hope would be, if she can get everything in a draft put together, we can have ATI come in at our February board meeting and go over that, and if we have any questions, and then we can also do a discussion action, unless we want to hold off until the special meeting in February.
Well,
Because
there
I think
will
they close
be,
out in March.
there'll be plenty of special meetings for budget.
Yep.
And it would work better, if they come to a regular meeting in February or a regular meeting in March.
Sure.
Because we'll be budgeted to that.
That's all I got. Moving on, 8A, B, and C, approve December minutes and the current bills as presented. And I think, does Lauren have to, can't vote on these?
Right.
The only ones you could vote on would be the bills.
So is there a motion for approval for 8A?
Well, it is.
Or changes.
Who wasn't here on the December 6th meeting? Everyone was here?
No,
I was.
well,
Yeah,
Alex
Ken
was
was.
by telephone, yes.
Yeah.
Alex by phone, so everybody was.
Okay, move approval of the December 6th meeting.
Second.
Moved by Steve, second by Ken, discussion.
There was a correction, I talked to Deb. If you look at 6H, we had 5 A's and 1 nay on those. So Deb was to fix that, just so you realize we didn't have 6 votes that time.
I decided to vote that time.
Did you? All right.
Any other
I
discussion?
said Lauren probably voted.
Lauren might have.
They're Lauren.
Just let her practice.
Hearing none, I forgot where I started off on, so I'll go with Ken,
Yeah.
Steve,
Yes,
Megan,
Yeah.
Doug.
Yes.
was everybody here on the December 13th meeting?
It looks like it, except for Alex.
Physically or mentally?
Yeah.
I don't see Mr.
Alex isn't, but
Alex
he's not here
Galloway.
anyway.
So
Right.
he wasn't here anyway.
Nope.
So move approval of the December 13 minutes.
Moved by Steve,
Second.
second by Doug. Discussion.
No. Yeah.
Steve,
Yes,
Megan.
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Ken.
Yeah,
Current bills as presented.
go ahead, make a motion.
I motion to approve the bills.
Okay, motion made by
You gotta be
Megan.
quicker.
I gotta be faster.
You wanna
Say
second
second.
that?
I will second.
Second.
Second by Lauren. Discussion. Hearing none. Megan,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Ken,
yes.
Steve,
Yes,
Lauren.
Yes.
That means there's only one item left.
I make
Motion to
motion to
approve.
adjourn.
Oh, motion
Oh,
by
yeah.
Ken because Megan made the wrong
I
motion.
did. Darn it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Megan. Discussion.
We'll vote no.
You sure? Any other discussion?
Douglas?
You want to spell
Doug,
right?
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Steve,
yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
All right. We are adjourned. You want to end that, Deb, please?
So I have a meeting Saturday morning, right?
And then the second.
And then the 17th.
Mhm.
And before